Hello again, everyone. I'm Communications Specialist Nick Munson here at Marymount University, and this is a new episode of Faculty in Focus. We'll jump right in now and meet our guest, Jenise Overmier. She's a reference and instructional librarian, as well as an assistant professor for library and learning services. We appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on to this episode.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so today we're going to focus on a topic that's very important to college students, and for good reason: textbook affordability, as well as open education. First off, can you give us a 2-minute elevator speech about what open educational resources are, also known as OERs, and for faculty listening in who may be unfamiliar with the topic, what are OERs exactly?
Sure, good place to start. So OERs are textbooks and other educational media that are free for students. And this stuff is not commercially licensed, meaning that faculty can adapt it if they want to. So let's say, for example, you're a psychology professor and you find an open textbook that you feel like meets the needs of your students, but you really are not thrilled with the way that they cover consciousness. With an open textbook, as that faculty member, because you have the source files and because it's openly licensed, you have the agency to go in and add to that or rewrite it entirely. And it really gives you a lot of flexibility to adapt the materials to the specific needs of your students and the needs of your curriculum.
Okay. So kind of like a Wikipedia, but you can trust the information a lot more.
Yes, I love it.
Cool. Good analogy. Why does Marymount need to get into the OER game, so to speak, and why now at this point?
So right now, we are living through what some talking heads are calling the higher education affordability crisis. So zooming out from, Marymount to the larger national conversation, right. Americans collectively owe over $1 trillion in student debt. And most of that burden is carried by my generation. I'm a millennial. I'm an old millennial. And Gen Z, who are in our classrooms today. Right. And so this is affecting the way that individuals approach their education. It's a totally new environment. It's not what their parents went through. So again, according to the College Board, the average individual borrower carries a debt load of about $28,000. And some people think that that's grossly undercalculated. More on that later. So textbook costs are included in these numbers. The average student, again, according to the College Board, should budget about $1,200 per year for textbooks. So we know that a lot of students, in fact, most students don't graduate in 4 years now because a lot of students are working their way through college. Maybe they're going part-time for a while. This is the new normal. So that $1,200 per year really adds up. So by the time you graduate, you might be carrying a debt load that is about $5,000 to $6,000 just from textbooks. So this is a place where educators in the classroom can make a difference. We cannot control, inflation and all of those things that we wish we had more of a hand in, but we do have agency in choosing the materials that we select and those materials that we ask students to buy. So speaking of buying textbooks, faculty know that sometimes in lieu of taking on that debt, the student will just opt out and not purchase the book at all, even though they know that will often result in a lower grade. They're willing to make that sacrifice because they are in this financial position of deficit, basically. So Many of them do, like I said, opt out of buying the textbook to save money. So this is kind of painting that broader picture of what it looks like nationally. So finally, the open movement was also born of community colleges and has also been taken up at the K through 12 level. So our students actually already have experience often when they come to us with these kinds of materials, and they're comfortable with them. We've got oodles of studies that have demonstrated that open materials, aka OER, are as or more effective in promoting learning as traditional commercial textbooks. Students like them. And finally, we've seen this demonstrated here at Marymount. So in response to this larger climate, we have in the library started an OER working group a couple of years ago in 2017 to help MU students with affordability directly. So we, like I said, at the time, I believe there was some need demonstrated by the student government. So they asked basically, and we listened. And the way that we typically work is we partner with our teaching faculty members to increase awareness of the open educational resource movement and what they can do in their classrooms.
Okay. So what more has that team done and worked on? I remember I graduated college in 2014, so I might have just missed the OER rollout, so to speak. How does it look, I guess, to someone that maybe hasn't seen that as a student? Like, how do they look different than your typical commercial textbook?
Good question. So I bet that you may have used a few and not have known about it, because sometimes they look exactly like what we're used to seeing. It just depends. Other times they look like a digital kind of modular textbook that your faculty member could embed in their learning management system. In this case, in Marymount, it's obviously Canvas. So they can look all different types of ways. We actually have some in the Marymount Library collection that have been made available in the exact same format as a traditional textbook, so in print. And they are coming out of this group called the Open Textbook Network, which is based in, was formed by this consortia of universities who, again, saw this need, wanted to respond to it, and so they're kind of format agnostic. It's demand driven. So if they have students who still feel like print is what they want, like they want to interact with a physical textbook, they can print them at cost, and the students can buy them for like $20. So,
which still sounds a lot more affordable than
$300.
Right. So how has the Marymount community responded since the OER team started working here on campus and started rolling out some examples of OERs?
That's a great question. So let me back up and tell you a little bit more about how the team functions, and then I'll tell you about the response. So like I said, we partner with teaching faculty to help them integrate open materials into their courses. That can look like workshops. We usually offer a few over the course of the year. We also offer individual consultations. So I've worked with a lot of faculty members one-on-one to help them understand what the landscape looks like, help them find some high-quality stuff, and then figure out how to insert that into their curriculum in the places that they were using a more traditional material. We also partner with other groups on campus, local partners, and statewide organizations to make funding and professional development opportunities available to our faculty. So a lot of this stuff is happening at the faculty level, one-on-one. For example, I work with the Virtual Library of Virginia to make state grant funding available to faculty. And through that work, which I started doing about a year ago, we were able to communicate to demonstrate to the local community here that our faculty are really eager to do this work. And we had a bunch of faculty teams apply for grants, which was fantastic. And that led to some internal conversations with some people from different offices on campus. And we were able to get some funding from the Faculty Development Committee dedicated to OER course redesign. We've been supporting faculty who want to redesign their courses this way for a long time as a university, but we hadn't really thought of the OER piece as fitting into that, and now we're able to do that, which is I'm very excited about. We just started doing that this year.
Nice.
Another network that we're part of, that the Washington Research Library Consortium, has recently committed to working in this open space as well. We're looking forward to creating a hyper-local OER community and working with hopefully seeding some local partnerships with other schools in the area around creating these materials.
So for faculty at Marymount that haven't jumped on the OER train, so to speak, just yet, how can they learn more about getting involved in this and getting OERs into their classrooms?
So we have a dedicated page on the library website, and on that page we've got some links where you can reach out to us, you can make an appointment. Other ways that you can get involved, again, we offer workshops a couple times throughout the year. If you're a Marymount faculty member, you can reach out to the librarian who works with your program, and they can put you in touch with us. The other thing I would highly recommend is we have 16 classes right now that are running on OER. Mm-hmm. So we are building this Marymount community around this stuff. So talk to those faculty who have teaching experience mm-hmm. with them. We've had people doing it now since 2017, so they've got a couple of years under their belt, mm-hmm. and they're all pretty excited about it and happy to talk to their peers.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Lots of different ways to find out more.
For sure. What do you think is the future of OERs? It's only gotten kind of recognition over the last couple of years, but obviously a long way to go, and who knows what will happen to it. What do you think is in store?
Wow, that's a great question. So like I said, we've seen community colleges have really hopped on this bandwagon. We have a lot of transfer students from our local community colleges that are familiar with this stuff, which excites me because they know it's there, and I think that they're going to start talking about it with their faculty members. We also are seeing it at the K-12. We're also seeing it at the K-12 level. So our students have this experience. Mm-hmm. I personally would love to see a whole program at Marymount go open, and I think we could see that happen in the next few years. Mm-hmm. The psychology program here and the IT program have done tremendous work already to begin to convert their courses, and I think that we could see them go open really soon. So that is my local future of OERs. I think at the national level that there has been a ton of traction around this. We have a lot of outspoken teaching faculty who are advocates of the open movement, and I think that it's just going to continue to grow.
Yeah. Well, we'll be excited as we see what's in store for OERs in the future. How do you see Marymount here responding in the future? Like, have students across campus been outspoken and in calling for open educational resources as opposed to the old way of doing things?
That's a good question. I wish I could say that I knew how students were responding. That's one of the projects that my team would like to take on in the next year or so, is now that we have a couple years of data under our belts, mm-hmm. I would love to get more student voices in there and to really understand how they feel about interacting with these materials. I can tell you the anecdotal evidence, and that is that it's been very positive. Mm-hmm. No one is more thrilled to not buy a textbook than a college student. Yeah. So they would so much rather have that couple $100 to buy groceries, to pay mm-hmm. their rent, all that stuff, pay their car insurance. And the faculty response here has also been really positive. Our faculty want to do this work because they are so dedicated to the success of Marymount students. Like, they get it. It has not been a push at all. I feel so fortunate. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Jenise, anything else you'd like to cover when it comes to OERs or textbook affordability?
Oh, wow. Well, I could go on for days, but I think that we have pretty much covered the bases. I encourage anybody to, if they want to get involved, reach out. We're always looking for more people to bring into the conversation.
All right, Jenise Overmier, thanks so much for coming here today on Faculty in Focus and sharing your insights and experiences with these issues.
It was such a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.